So that's what y'all want to see, huh?
Oh, bring it on in. We are live. We are in studio. Hello, everybody. It's Daily Ticket. Sean Brace riding solo for now. Jam-packed show coming your way. Jam-packed programming here on The Gambler. A lot to get to. Breaking news in the association. Deep conversations. Sixers back in action. Paul George, you dog. Look at you on the St. Bart's Beach with that lady friend in hand, hanging high above your mouth. Oh, my goodness. The Sixers are the gift that just continue to give. You gotta love it. If you didn't smile, if we didn't laugh, we'd be crying, right? All right, a lot to get to. As I said, jam-packed show. Julian Edlow, normal spot, 3:30. Talking some NBA, talking some college hoops, mix and match a few odds and ends with him representing the squad over at DraftKIngs Sportsbook. 4 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, set your damn alarm because these two big brains, we got a lot of brains on the Gambler. We got a lot of brains in the Gambler gang. Big brains. I am not one of those big brains. I'm just the guy that just somehow has been weaving it together for a few years now here at the Gambler. But we have some really big brains when it comes to the world of NBA, of college hoops, of college football, NFL draft. Oh, did you just say NFL draft, Sean Brace? You bet your ass I did. And we got you covered. We got soccer, Philadelphia Union, Sebastian Latou, all-time leading goal scorer for the Philadelphia. Actually, no, he's not. That's right. He got replaced. His name is up there in the damn Ring of Honor, though. All right? And that will never, ever come down. We got Sebastian Latou on these airwaves. We got you covered across the board. Golf, Moose, Mays, Danielle Matthews. Come on. You think it's a game? I'm here for you. With that being said, Sam Oshtry from The Score and Sean Barnard, who represents DraftKings as well, they are two of the smartest brains when it comes to all things NBA. They don't miss much. They watch the association top to bottom from 7 a.m. tip-off or 7 p.m. tip-offs until the late night window. Games being played in Paris. Yeah, we got the two guys that are all over it for you. They'll be both joining me coming up at 4 o'clock, and we're going to start doing a little bit more around the Picks and Roll umbrella, which was a podcast that Sean Barnard and I myself started two seasons ago, I want to say. So yes, the NBA discussion rolls on, all things hoops right here on the Gambler, and we it's now time, right? Like, we all have to see the calendar. We know what's at stake here as far as regular season college basketball hoops. We're past the All-Star break, which is just not at the halfway point. I know that they don't want to compete with the NFL, but I just don't like that. I think it's unfair to the players, but regardless, the NBA has a ton of issues, which we are going to start with the NBA in just a second. Again, though, Sam Oshtry, Sean Barnard joining me at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, swing it and ding it. And then the debut episode. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to get a load of Ryan Beef Coyle and the great Nick McClay talking all things NFL draft. Brand new show that we're rolling out here tonight, weekly, found right here on the Gambler. Bending the edge. Bending the edge. You know what I mean? When you're the defensive end, you bend the edge. You bend the edge around the edge, right? Bend the edge around the edge. Yes. So those boys will be breaking down some NFL draft conversation coming your way at 7 o'clock tonight. So jam-packed. Let's go. A lot to get to. All right. First and foremost, we got to update the Super Bowl champions and what's happening around the Philadelphia Eagles. And the hits keep on coming. It's going to be an interesting offseason, filling the holes from the assistant coaching perspective for the Eagles. And you know this, right? Like, talking to Jim Curtin, Philadelphia Union head coach for many, many seasons, had some great years. And I remember one-on-one, he told me, hey, man, like, this is what it's all about. Like, that's always a plus when you have a great season as a team, and then the personal accolades come in. And then, oh, by the way, they start picking off your roster. It's not a good thing. It's not something you want. But at the end of the day, it means that you have something special going on. And when you win the Super Bowl, of course, you know what's happening there. And for the main crux of the conversation is Eagles got the job done. So now everybody's looking at the nest going, I bet you that guy would look good in the Eagles or in our uniform. I bet you that guy could lead us to a possible championship. I bet you that guy would make us a little bit better as far as, in the department of quarterback and offensive coordinator or whatever it may be. But anyways, so the Eagles, now we know what took place yesterday. They ended up losing. Well, first of all, yesterday, Kevin Patullo was promoted to offensive coordinator. Today, they lose Doug Nussmeier, who I believe was the quarterback coach, I want to say for it. Yes, he was the quarterback coach for the Eagles this season, has been with Kellen Moore for quite some time, if I'm not mistaken, as well there. So he is following Kellen Moore to the New Orleans Saints. So he's heading to New Orleans to take a job with Kellen Moore, and I believe it will be his offensive coordinator. Nussmeier is following Saints head coach and ex-Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore to the Big Easy, where he will take on his first coordinator job. As I said, Nussmeier has been following Moore for quite some time at a couple different stops. Has been with him. It's his guy, so it's understandable. But it's nothing that you want to see happening, of course, with the team losing some important pieces. Now, Jalen Hurts did have a conversation with a reporter, I believe, after the Super Bowl. I believe it was parade day or the day before parade day inside the locker room. And he spoke a little bit about Patullo and said, look, it's different for him. It's not to say that I don't think he can do it. I'm paraphrasing, but he did say it's different for him. And it was an interesting answer. And we should always expect that from Jalen Hurts, right? But never status quo or coach speak for the most part. He was very honest about that. And look, I said it yesterday with Mark Henry Jr. We were live when that news came down yesterday. I know everybody has this locked into their head that it's Howie's team or it's Nick Sirianni's team because of the success. The beauty about these two working together, I just don't see them butting heads. And I didn't believe that they did after Gannon and Steichen left, after 2 years ago in the 57 Super Bowl, right? I didn't believe that that was the case. Now, there are people out there that painted this picture inside their head that, Howie Roseman after that season said, you know what? You just took us to a Super Bowl. Here you go. Here's the keys to the castle. It's not the case. It's not how it works. I don't believe there has been one hiring where Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman have butted heads. Collectively, they have worked together to figure this out and find the right coordinators to bring in. Now, did they hit on, of course, Brian Johnson? No, that was not the case. But in my opinion, my view is it's never just one or the other. I think that collectively these guys have worked together. And I just refuse to believe that Howie Roseman is going to say, you know what, here's the keys to the car. You took us to a Super Bowl back in 57, 2 seasons ago. And now you get to choose who these coordinators are. Howie Roseman is not relinquishing any, a role of choosing such an important piece to the team for the franchise's success after what he's been through to battle back from all the way down in the basement with his red stapler in hand. Have you seen my stapler? And then when Chip Kelly banished him, he gets an opportunity to get back into the mix, and all of a sudden he's going to allow Nick Sirianni to pick his guys. I never believed that, and I don't think that's true. But again, to each their own on that. To me, I don't think that they have had a moment where it's been butting of the heads. And here we are now with the hiring of Patullo to offensive coordinator, who is Sirianni's guy, did work with him out in Indianapolis, has been all over the map, has worked his way up to this role, and he's getting the opportunity. And I refuse to believe that this is, Howie Roseman just signing off because Nick Sirianni said so, he had success. I don't think it works like that. But I digress. It's up to you to debate that. Have fun with that. It's one that I don't really get caught up in. That's for sure. All right. So moving off of the coaching news, again, it's early enough. So if this stuff is going to happen, I know that there were people out there saying from the offensive coordinator spot, hey, look, it's late in the game. Who can you get? I never really looked at it as such, right? I think that this is a perfect spot, and you want to bring it from within, right? Like that's That's the mark of something special happening, that you're building a great organization. That's solid. And I can tell you from a program director's, spot where, like, if my guys end up going on and moving off and getting another gig or doing this and doing that, whatever it may be, like, yeah, that's a bonus for us. That's a plus. We love that. Now, I don't want to lose anybody permanently, but again, if that happens, thumbs up across the board. Anyways, from the coaching perspective, over to some offseason surgery news. Cam Jurgens, he had a back procedure, according to ESPN.com. Now, we know that this is twice now. These pop-ups are killing me here. There we go. Yes, nerve pain. Now, you know that Jurgens was dealing with that, and of course, throughout all season long. In fact, the original injury, I believe I read, was early in the season. And if you have dealt with back pain in any way, shape, or form, you know that that's nothing fun. All right. I'm still dealing with it. Matter of fact, today my back was on fire. It's my lower back, and it just tightens up and it makes you just not want to move. But, backs are brutal if you have an injury, period. Whether it's upper, lower, doesn't matter. It's one of the worst things that you can have to deal with. And when you're talking about nerves, yeah, that's a tough one. Now, hopefully Jurgens is able to make a full recovery. Of course, he will be back plenty of time. They're saying before training camp in July. That's fine. But the thing I would just say is, as a bad back connoisseur, I will tell you that when you get in front of the doctor, they're going to be upfront with you and say that this surgery might not fix what is hurting you. And that's always great to hear. So, yeah, well, we're going to put you through this MRI, which you're freaking out. That was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. You're in pain. My whole side was numb. I'm laying in this tube. I don't have any music going. All you hear is for 10 minutes. And then he gives me a stress ball, and the guy goes, "Hey, look, if you start to feel anything and you need to get out of there, start, pulling the trigger on the stress ball." I waited. My whole side was just completely, he pulls me out. "You all right? You all right?" Dude, I'm done. I'm out. Can't do that anymore. Brutal. Backs suck. If you got a bad back, it's one of the worst. Anyways, so hopefully Jurgens can get back in there and make a full recovery. And I know that they do have better doctors than most. Let's just put it that way. All right, so from the Eagles over to the NBA, and it's very unfortunate news, speaking of doctors, and Wembanyama, done for the season for the San Antonio Spurs. That's the big news item of the day today, and it is very, very frustrating. And I'm going to get into more of the reason why I feel as such, but more on Wemby here. I was looking this injury, and man, this is some scary stuff. You want to talk about possibly something that could ultimately be a situation that he's dealing with for a long damn time. I'm no doctor, and I don't try to play one here. But when you start talking about blood clots and lungs and everything along those lines, it's different than an Achilles. It's different than a sprained knee. It's different than a back injury, right? Like this is in a different stratosphere compared to those injuries. And that's what Wemby has. And Wemby was, Julian's going to tell you, he was Defensive Player of the Year front runner, minus 2,500. He got robbed last year. Should have won it over Gobert. Gobert did not. He was the lock to do so. He was always favored. And now he's done for the rest of the season. So we'll get into a little bit of the odds changing, but more on Wemby as far as that is concerned. The condition, the Spurs said in a statement, a form of blood clot was discovered after Wemby returned to San Antonio after the All-Star game. The condition is typically treated with blood-thinning medications, which usually precludes a player from participating in contact sports such as basketball. That's understood. Wemby started feeling sympathetic, yeah, there you go, recently, but believed he would feel better after 2 days off following the All-Star game. Goes on vacation, symptoms persisted, and Wemby underwent a battery of tests that showed the clot. So, Wemby will be done for the rest of the season. He was a rookie of the year last year. He made the All-Star team. This season, he was averaging 24 plus points per game, 11 rebounds, 3.7 assists, and a league-leading 3.8 blocks in 46 games. Now, the Spurs were struggling, but they did make that move for De'Aaron Fox, so we were hoping that they were going to make some moves as a team and then make a little bit of a run to the playoffs, maybe a playing game, whatever it may be. But they're currently 23 and 29. So I believe that that ship has sailed. That is not good for the San Antonio Spurs. And allow me, because we got to bring Julian on in a few, but I was having this conversation earlier today. And for a league that can't afford to lose their stars, now I don't know what league can, but let's focus on the NBA for a second here. And the NBA has some tough problems right now. For the people that don't want to get carried away with ratings, I'm right there with you. But you can't tell me as a consumer, as a fan of the league, that things are going the wrong way. You can't tell me that you don't agree with that. Now, I don't know when it started, and I'm not here to place blame. But what I am here to say is you have Wemby, who was one guy that spoke out after the All-Star game saying, how about that? You get the rising stars out there, you get the OGs, you change things up, and all of a sudden we got some people playing hard. Here's Wemby, and it seems like he's got the right attitude. It seems like every time I stumble across a question that he is asked specifically about something like, engagement and not taking time off and being there and so on and so forth, he has answered the question correctly. I like his passion. I love his passion. Love his game. Who doesn't? He's a stud. Future, I was going to say Hall of Famer, but of course, but a future MVP of the league, no doubt. And now the NBA loses him, albeit team wasn't all that great, but they did make a move, and Wemby is appointment television. So the Spurs, on my list of teams that I tune in for, list of NBA teams that I think, hey, it's Tuesday night, NBA on TNT. We got to watch that. We got to tune in for this squad. That player has been on fire. This player is up for whatever it may be award. Need to watch. And I literally could only come up with 9 teams. 9 teams in the association. That's not good. Again, I don't care about ratings. I don't care about money, salary cap, anything along those lines. I am just a consumer. I am a sports fan that sits home and watches TV from 7 o'clock on until I close my eyes and fall asleep. And 95% of the time, it's sports. I will mix it up. I'll watch the TGL. I'll watch Daytona. I'll watch hockey tonight. I love all the hockey experts. Oh, yeah, USA money line. Yeah. These people on ESPN probably watched 2 minutes of a hockey game all season, and now you're out here giving picks. Show some damn shame, would you? Good grief. Anyways, moving on. Back to the NBA and the issues that they're having. I honestly believe that there are only 9 teams that I could look you stone cold in the face and say, yep, that's a team to tune in for. And we'll go through them. Let's have that exercise. What do you say? The Oklahoma City Thunder, 100%. Top dogs, 44-10, a great team to tune in for. Memphis Grizzlies, if Ja Morant's not there, sorry, like he wasn't last year, but he's there this year. They're worth watching. They're worth the price of admission tuning in. The Denver Nuggets, of course. The Houston Rockets are on that level, but I can't quite sit here right now and tell you need to tune into a Houston Rockets game. I will. Young squad, like the coach, good veteran leadership, a team that's on the rise, 34-21, but I don't think we can qualify them at this point in time. The Lakers tuned in last night. I thought ESPN Analytics had them second best team to represent the West. The ESPN analytics, the machine got it wrong. One game. Luka played one game with the Lakers. And these SportsCenter hosts, Greeny, all these folks that are representing the brand up there on that television screen go, "Oh, ESPN analytics, the computers love them." They played one game. What are the computers going off of? Yeah, it's going to take a little bit. And even then, I don't know if next year they're going to be able to go ahead and fix this and get to an NBA Finals or get to a Western Conference Finals. How about that? Fun loss last night against the Charlotte Hornets. I will say that the Lakers are a team to tune in for. You know who's not? Timberwolves. It's disappointing from last year. Clippers, they're not. Mavericks, love Kyrie. You tuning in for a Mavs game? The Kings, Steph Curry. Now, Jimmy Butler's there, but that's a team that's 28-27. I'll put the Warriors on the list because Steph is Steph. Suns disappointing across the board. I don't want to watch the Phoenix Suns play. The Spurs without Wemby, they're now off. Portland, Jazz, and the Pelicans, who should be embarrassed just to even walk outside. And I know that they've been dealing with a ton of injuries, snake bitten from the beginning, but what a disaster of an organization. So, of course, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'll give you 4.5 with the Warriors. If you want to get there with 5, we can do it. Over to the East. The Cavs, sure. They're top dogs, great team, putting it together. They deserve the respect. Tune in. They play hard every single time out. Good scoring, good solid play down low. It is a fun team to watch because they're winning. And they came somewhat out of nowhere at the rate that they are winning at. The Boston Celtics, 39-16. I think they're sleepwalking a little bit, especially since the Christmas Day loss against the Sixers. But we'll put them on that list. The Knicks might be my favorite team to watch in the NBA. And I got chills as I said that. And Sean Barnard right now is firing a text. How dare you say that? I mean it. Pacers, no. Bucks, I need to put the Bucks on the list. The Pistons, they deserve our respect. They have turned it around up there in Detroit. They're 29-26. I'm not telling you to watch the Detroit Pistons. The Orlando Magic, they should be better. They've been dealing with a little bit of injuries as well. I like the Magic. I like what they have going on. I can't tell you to tune in to watch an Orlando Magic game. The Hawks, the Heat, the Bulls, the Sixers, the Nets, the Raptors, the Hornets, the Wizards. So if you're keeping score at home, we got 5 in the West. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 total teams that I would say you need to spend your time watching if they're on television. That's not good. Now, there are a lot of issues with the league. The 3-point has totally taken it into a different world. Of course, the players taking games off. The regular season meaning something, right? But it's all about the postseason. The All-Star game's a joke. The NBA's got some tough decisions to be made here, and I don't know what they can do differently. Again, the bottom line is the bottom line, and they're all getting paid a ton of money. You know, these outlets that are carrying these games spent a ton of money to do so. So, and ratings, whatever. Like I said, I'm not trying to get into that because I think you can ultimately say, well, if the ratings are a plus, then you're wrong. And that's why I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to stay out of the box score, trying to stay out of the stats. I'm just giving you my honest opinion as a sports fan, a guy that just sits home, fat ass on the couch, and watches sports all day long. Am I lying? Let me know your thoughts at Fox PHL Gambler. Hit me up personally at Sean_Brace. Love to get the conversation going about the NBA. Is there a team out there that you would volunteer that I did not put on the list? Was there a team that you would take off? I'd love to hear your thoughts once again at Fox PHL gambler. All right, back over to Wemby, though, because that's the big news of the day. Julian Edlow has been all over it for DraftKings Sportsbook. You are not going to believe the amount of money that was on Wemby to win Defensive Player of the Year. And now we're looking at somebody else is going to win that award, and therefore the sportsbooks are cashing in a big way. We'll go over those numbers. We'll talk about some college hoops with Julian Edlow. He's going to join me via the stream. I saw him yesterday on VSiN, hanging out with the great Stormy. So I'm glad that he's willing to hop on the stream for us over here as well. Julian Edlow from DraftKings Sportsbook, other side, 4 o'clock hour. Sam Oshtry, Sean Barnard, and they're going to burn me at the cross with my take about 9 teams being worth the price of admission in the NBA. More after this.
Barbera was right. Boy, I guess. Is Super Coach Nick the best? Boy, I guess.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Getting busy on the Vine Expressway both ways. Schuylkill 95 northbound back to Allegheny Bridge. Eastbound, Schuylkill crawling 202 to Gulf Mills. Further east, heavy Montgomery Drive to south. Westbound, Jan University to Vine, City to Belmont, and Blue Route to King of Prussia. All right, to tell total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off, free UPS shipping, and add code RADIO for an extra 5% off.
You turned your dating app for pets into a business, which just turned over its first billion. You turned around the fortunes of a failing football club, politely turned down a Nobel Peace Prize, and turned up on Mars in your own reusable rocket. All while struggling to turn on the dishwasher. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover business development titles on Audible.
Sometimes it feels like the world is moving at hyperspeed and you can't keep up because it's one thing then another. And don't forget the meeting and the yoga class and the dinner reservation. But then you get into the all-new Nissan Murano and you feel the breeze from the panoramic moonroof while the massaging seats melt away the tension of the day. And you realize that sometimes the greatest rush is not rushing at all. Shop the all-new Murano at nissanusa.com. Panoramic moonroof massaging leather appointed seats are available features.
This Saturday, February 22nd at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, it's the Pro Volleyball Federation's first All-Star match. The league's biggest stars will clash in a can't-miss event hosting the Indy metro area, home of the Indy Ignite. Catch every serve, spike, and save live on CBS. Don't miss this historic showdown of volleyball's finest. The Pro Volleyball Federation All-Star Match. This Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Be there.
Hi, I'm Jenna Fisher. A little over a year ago, during a routine mammogram and ultrasound, I was diagnosed with triple-positive breast cancer. Caught early, many common cancers have survival rates well over 90%. The Screening Time Off program encourages employees to take time to step out for screenings. Be the world's best boss. Join Screening Time Off. Learn more and sign up at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
My name is Kyle Tequila, host of the shocking new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Kenny was a Chicago firefighter who lived a secret double life as a mafia hitman.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything. He was crazy, man.
It was my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Listen to Crook County on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Crook County to start listening.
Rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar! La, 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 la.
These days, it feels like everyone is talking about how the American dream of homeownership has become out of reach for so many of us. Well, Rocket is trying to give us more of a chance to own our homes. They're making homeownership simpler and more accessible to more people, turning renters into owners. Rocket believes that every one of us deserves a shot at the American dream. So, are you ready? Own the dream. Visit rocket.com or call 800-4ROCKET.
Hey, man, you all right? Need me to call 911? No, call Top Dog Law. Get top dollar for your accident at topdoglaw.com. Once again, that's topdoglaw.com.
LaMelo wants the pick from Mark Williams. He'll use him. One-on-one with Vanderbilt now. 5 on the shot clock. 4. LaMelo into the lane. Up with the right hand. Finger roll for 2. And the Hornets lead it by 4 with 14 seconds left. Rebound Vincent. Back to LeBron. 3 for the tie. No! And the Hornets grab the win in Los Angeles. Final score, 100-97.
The great Sam Farber on the call for the Charlotte Hornets radio network. One of the best in the business. Was just looking at his LinkedIn page. How about that? Very accessible. That man... very passionate about the Charlotte Hornets. Dare I say more passion coming from him than anybody representing that squad for years. That's for damn sure. Joining us right now, this is a man that is just dripping in passion. Passion for sports gambling. Passion to lead you in the right direction. I saw him yesterday on VSiN with the great Stormy. Looking good, Julian Edlow, and he's joining us right now via the stream here on the Gambler stream. Julian, how we doing today, sir?
Just feeling passionate about sports, you know.
Yes, man. We live boring lives. We just love sports. That's what we do. We sit on the couch. You know, we're good dads. We're good husbands. We try. But at the end of the day, we just want to watch sports. That's it.
We try. You definitely got that part right. We try.
All right. We got a lot to get to, including I'm going to Disney tomorrow. You ever been to Disney?
Not since I was a kid.
Yeah,
that's gonna be that's a serious trip these days, from what I hear. I have not done it in like 20 plus years. So
same, yeah, I haven't been since the 80s, Julian. I got a picture.
Oh wow, yeah, I'm probably
88.
like early 2000s, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a little bit. Years. So I'm going to go through that process with you, and then we're going to pick a starting 5 via the Disney characters. I kid. All right, so here's the deal. First and foremost, a lot to get to. Let's open up with the Wemby situation, and now he is done for the rest of the season. And it's so frustrating because I was just ranting about there's only a few teams that I'm really saying pay the price of admission, tune in for, and the Spurs with Wemby and Fox, they were absolutely that team. Put Fox to the side, Wemby is the man. And now we lose him for the rest of the season. But this takes on a whole nother direction with the numbers that were coming in for defensive player of the year. And I immediately texted you. And of course, from DraftKIngs Sportsbook, you came back with some numbers, some handle, all that. So take us on the inside. First of all, this was an award, defensive player of the year, that he should have won last year. Didn't. I did have a ticket. So he opens up as a significant favorite. Do you know what he was at the start of the season?
He was like, I want to say in the minus 140 to minus 170 range, which you don't get an odds-on favorite preseason to win an award. I wish I had like handy the last time that happened. If we exclude Rookie of the Year, because he was like favored to win Rookie of the Year. Obviously, you have rookies that come in that you're laying juice. If you exclude Rookie of the Year, like I could not imagine the last time there was an odds-on favorite to win a major award. So, yeah, I mean, the major impact here is like basketball first. Like, you don't want to see this for Wembanyama. And I hope from the reports we're getting, this is isolated and he's going to be back healthy next year. But betting impact-wise, the first place my mind went was Defensive Player of the Year, because you have a minus 2,000 favorite this morning to win the award. He has 67% of the tickets. 2 out of every 3 people that bet on Defensive Player of the Year from this afternoon all the way back to when we opened the market over the summer at DraftKings Sportsbook had bet on Wembanyama. 41% of the money was on Wemby at prices between -140 and -2,000. Now he's not eligible to win the award. We can confirm he won't win it because he won't play enough games. So that literally takes, like, when you were eating breakfast this morning, Jaren Jackson was 22-1 to win the Defensive Player of the Year. By the time you sat down for lunch, he's an odds-on favorite and you're laying juice on him. So that's the impact that had on this market. Evan Mobley's right behind him. Then you got all the guys on the Thunder. Chet was injured, so he would probably be the favorite if he never got injured at this point, but he did, so he can't win it. So now you got all the guys on the Thunder who have such a good defense. Dort, Jalen Williams, SGA, all of them are in the mix. Dyson Daniels went from 40-1 to 16-1 almost immediately. It had a huge impact on Defensive Player of the Year, and I'll re-update tomorrow kind of like how the bets came in over the last 24 hours since the news. But again, 2/3 of the tickets over the last, I don't know, 8 months were Wembanyama, and now he can't win the award.
Yeah, that is crazy that he is completely out of the running for the award due to lack of games played. And part of it, it's, look, I know why they put it in there. It's frustrating. Do you think if that rule wasn't in place that he would win the award he's played 49 games this year? If you had to take a guess, if, the voters came through, do you think they would give him that award at the end of the season if he was still available, still active, available?
Personally, I wouldn't vote for somebody that plays 49 games. He would get votes. I saw somebody go on TV earlier and say that they don't like the 65 games because they would vote for Wembanyama anyway. So he would get votes. I don't think he would win with 49 games. So yeah, it's fortunately we don't have to debate it because that would be interesting. And if it was still open market, like what would he be priced?
I'm actually all right with that. I think that makes it a little bit more intriguing from our perspective when we talk about this, and of course, trying to find maybe some value down the board. And that's my next question, Julian, putting your sports gambling hat on and putting DraftKings to the side, but recommendation for the listeners right now, since it's -110 for Jaren Jackson. Again, these numbers are going to fluctuate. It seems like, look, there were two favorites on DraftKings, and I know other books have some other numbers out there as always, but you got Jaren Jackson and Mobley are basically going to be the two favorites, but you do have some other guys that could potentially make a run at this. Where do you stand on that conversation? Who's going to end up winning the hardware after it's all said and done?
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, Jaren Jackson's been great, and he's the what did he win it 2 years ago? So I would probably, you got Jackson -115, Mobley +125. I think I would favor Mobley. The Cavs, I mean, they'll get Coach of the Year. They need to get some award for the season they're going to have and presumably finish first in the East. And maybe it'll just be Coach of the Year, but I think Mobley is worthy. I would rather bet Mobley than Jackson if you had me bet between the two favorites right now. Further down the board is where it gets interesting. Dyson Daniels opened 40-1. I would have loved that bet. He's now 16-1. I don't think a Hawk is going to be Defensive Player of the Year. So at this number, I'm not interested. I am interested in a member of OKC. It's just they're all bunched together in who. I think Dort at 18-1 is kind of the guy that gets that reputation. And again, human voted award. Dort has the reputation of the defensive guy for OKC if it's not Holmgren, which it can't be. So, you give me $100 and say you got to bet it on anybody on the board right now. I would go Lou Dort 18-1.
I like that. Good play there. Once again, Julian Edlow joining us from DraftKings Sportsbook, normal spot here on a Thursday. Check out all of his great work, dknetwork.com. And, of course, give him a follow, all one word. That's EDLOW. We will get into some action on the court, some games as the NBA is back and the Celtics back and actually taking on the Sixers. How about that? Not that we're paying attention down here. Paul George, let me just throw that at you, the pictures? Do you see the pictures of vacation?
Looks like he had a fun break.
Yeah, I think so. All right, moving off of Paul George and the 76ers. I try not to talk about them at all. Let's talk about the Lakers. And I just don't see it this year. And I don't want to be unfair, but this is what happens when you put the Lakers into the conversation. It's like ESPN analytics have the Lakers as the number one team to come out of the West behind OKC. Like, that's what they were selling us immediately after the deal. He played one game. Luka played one game.
You remember when ESPN analytics gave the Heat a 3% chance to beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Final and they won?
Those damn computers, man. Everyone thinks they know everything.
Just that. These computers from this particular place don't work very well when it comes to these analytics.
Yes. Well, I never bought that, and I don't want to be unfair because, again, this is their third game playing. But I'm curious, like, is it all based off of a big man? Because last night it was just ugly as defensive was concerned. I know Reeves got tossed, but whatever. Like, you got ball just cutting through the lane. No one's stopping him. Is it a quick fix in your mind? Let's just fast forward to next year, because we know that the cavalry isn't coming and no one's going to be there simply due to what took place as far as the trade deadline getting rejected or trade getting rejected. But is it as simple for you that you think next year, give them another season, go out there and get a big man to fill that role, and the Lakers will be competing for a championship?
It's definitely a huge offseason for the Lakers. They, if LeBron can still play at the level that he is, like we keep saying, the decline's coming, and it doesn't really come to a full extent. As long as he can play about as well as he has this season and they can fill their needs, they should be a good team. Now, they're not going to be the best in the West. Like, OKC is only going to get better. Denver could, rebound a little bit and put some pieces around Jokic that they don't necessarily have this year. The Spurs, if Wemby's back fully healthy and they have Fox, Castle, and maybe even a high lottery pick, like, who knows? So, like, there's teams in the West. The Lakers should be in the mix. I would be shocked if they, the Lakers get what the Lakers want. So I would be surprised if they don't get the type of piece that they're looking for this offseason. But for the remainder of this season, I'm kicking myself for looking at Lakers under 49.5 all-star break. I didn't pull the trigger. They come out first game and lose to the Hornets as double-digit home favorites. They're on the back-to-back in Portland tonight, only favored by 3. I could see them losing this game. Wow. If they come out and go 0-2 to Portland and Charlotte, now they're 1-3 with Doncic in the lineup, and I don't have under 49.5 after staring it down all-star break. That one's not going to sit well with me. I'm going to regret that.
Understood. I would definitely love to see another loss for the Lakers tonight, especially in Portland.
Portland's been playing well.
Yeah, they have. You're right. They have turned it around a little bit.
Size.
Yeah. I mean, that was the glaring issue. Of course, we all knew it, but just tuning into that game last night, I didn't watch really much of the second game against the Jazz. I did watch the first game against the Jazz. Jazz are terrible, so I didn't really take much into it. But last night, I'm like, all right, it's go time for the Lakers. Let's go. Tune in, watch that game, and they're missing a couple pieces, and I just don't see it this year. Of course, as you pointed out with the under, yeah, that would have been a pretty decent wager to have in your portfolio at this point in time. Don't mean to rub salt in your wounds by no means, but all right, let's move it on and let's get on over to some action tonight. Again, NBA, put their foot in the water, their toes in the water last night with one. Tonight, we got a full board. Julian's got a couple plays here. Let's open up with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Pacers. Game being played in Indiana tonight. 30-23 for the Pacers. They've turned it around a little bit because they were disappointing to start the season. Grizzlies have been just awesome. 36-18 here. DraftKIngs Sportsbook, where we're getting our numbers from this evening. And the Memphis Grizzlies are 2.5-point road favorites. 251 is our total. Julian, where are we going on this one, sir?
Yeah, I played Memphis on the money line yesterday at -125. It looks like we are -142 now. Little steep. I would lay the 2.5. I'm a little surprised. The splits were pretty sharp to Memphis up until earlier today. Now it looks like some Pacer money coming in, but full strength Memphis team, the best ATS team in the NBA. And Indy doesn't seem to have it this year. I know everybody's a little healthier coming out of the break. I think Memphis is the much better team, obviously, as the number indicates, favored on the road. But I think Memphis is just undervalued in general still. Generally the best ATS team in the NBA is. And spot-wise coming out of the break, I just think we haven't gotten them fully healthy much this year, and we do now. So I think this is when they're going to be at their best. No problem laying the 2.5 with Memphis at Indy tonight.
All right, next game up here on the card for you. I believe we had a shift in the favorite, if I'm not mistaken. Currently holding steady right now. Clippers are 3-point road favorites on the road in Milwaukee. 8-10 tip, 228.5 is our total. Am I correct on that? Was the Milwaukee Bucks favored when this opened up?
Yep. This was Clippers plus like 2.5, I think. It's been all Clipper money, 77% Clipper money so far on just 40% of the tickets, which is pretty impressive. I took minus 135 on the Clippers. I was late to the party. I did wait until they were favored, but I bet it after the Bobby Portis news. So Bobby Portis obviously now all of a sudden out of this game. Milwaukee looking meh coming out of the break. Clippers have everybody. I think they could have used the rest with this team, and they've been overperforming this year. That's a team I'm on the under for the win total. I'm probably going to be wrong unless they go on a big skid late in the season. But yeah, Clippers at full strength, well rested. That's another team. That's the type of spot you want to back them in. And I'm just not a believer in Milwaukee this season. So at this point, let's see if it comes down to 2.5, or you can get back under like minus 140 money line. But yeah, that's a Clippers play for me.
All right, over to the prop side of things. Kevin Durant and DraftKings is rolling a special here. I just got this right to my inbox, Julian. How about that? They must have known you were coming on.
Target.
Yeah, exactly. They definitely do. We got the Kevin Durant super boost, even money. All he's got to do is score 20 plus points, Julian Edlow. It's the Suns. It's the Spurs. And right here, Julian is telling me he likes Kevin Durant to sail over that number. I might have to double up tonight via DraftKings Sportsbook. Why are you on Kevin Durant on 30 plus this evening, sir?
All right. Well, when we get off the air, I'm going to have to tweet out the super boost because they should have given me this earlier. It could have been my boost. So Durant, even money 20 plus, love that like any night. But I went 30 plus at plus 180. I think, what is it down to like plus 150? So he had 34 and 37 the last two games before the break. One of those games was without Booker. But desperate Suns team. Need to get a win. You're now playing a Wemby-less Spurs squad. Last time Durant faced the Spurs, it was a game he rolled an ankle in, but he scored 13 points in 16 minutes before he got hurt. So he was scoring pretty efficiently in that game. And the little cherry on top here, we always love motivational spots in the NBA. This game is being played in Austin, on campus, University of Texas. So an alma mater homecoming game for KD. I would not be surprised to see him put on a little bit of a show for the Longhorns kids tonight. I know he was only there 1 year, but he speaks very highly of his time at Texas. Loved it. Big UT fan. So I think we will see KD's best tonight. So go ahead and go even money on the 20 plus. I know those are always capped, $25, $50, whatever your max is there, and then go over and take an even better, higher number at 30 plus.
A great Longhorn. Yes. All 1 year.
He was a great I was going back looking at some of his numbers. Like he has insane records for like 30-point games as a freshman.
He was sick. Yeah, he was sick. And those conversations, it was him and Odin. And true story, I once was in conversations to buying season tickets for the Portland Trailblazers to sell them because of Greg Oden going number one. Thank God I didn't get sucked into that one. That was a bad call. But yes, Kevin Durant, and we know what took place there. And he's been incredible, of course, setting records still to this day. But we'll have our eyes on that one. That's good information as far as where it's being played tonight. All right, Julian Edlow joining us. Now, Julian normally likes to keep it on the hardwood, maybe on the grass when it comes to football. Not too often you and I mix it up and talk hockey. But here we are. Julian Pucks and Sticks Edlow tonight. We got USA, we got Canada, and he's not picking money line. No. Like, he's diving in deep here. First of all, let's pull up the Four Nations face-off via DraftKings Sportsbook. USA at home, your neck of the woods, minus 118. I'm favored on the money line, 5.5 as far as the total is concerned. And you have a play on the total. Where are we going?
Yeah, well, everybody knows I'm a puckhead at heart.
Yes.
They call me the Iceman. It's been my nickname forever. We're going the boring way here. You know we're going the boring way. I'm going to stress this one out. Everybody's talking hockey. Everybody needs a hockey bet for tonight.
It's true.
So we're dipping our toes in under 5.5, -130 when I played it, at least. Let's see. It's 135 now, so it's moving in our direction. This just has the feel of if I'm watching a hockey game, then it's a big Game 7, gut-wrenching, tight Game 7 type of atmosphere, and that's what this is. USA, I did do a tiny bit of research so that I don't come off as a complete idiot. USA has allowed only 1 goal in each of the 3 games so far.
Wow.
That bodes well. Teams played on Saturday night, 3-1 USA. That bodes well.
You're right.
And now you're going to play each other again 5 days later in an even bigger game. One would think there's some familiarity. Things tighten up a little bit. This is going to be, late third period game winner or an overtime winner, 2-1, 3-2. I'm not going to pick the winner. I'm just going to tell you there's going to be less than 5.5 goals. But I am surprised USA is trending towards a bigger favorite. That has to be all of our money coming in. Obviously, DK is legal in more United States places. I think that it's about 2/3 money USA. I have to think that's just us Americans betting it, because shouldn't Canada be favored? I'm not trying to be the bad guy, but they're the better team.
Yes.
They just lost the other one, revenge spot in their country. Now they're coming to our country looking to get their revenge win, and they're the better team. They got the best player on the ice. I don't know. I'm not telling you to bet Canada. Just bet the under 5.5.
I'm with you, and I will co-sign everything you just said. If you did make a selection, I would say. But anyways, we'll leave.
You don't have to be anti-American here. This is why I found an alternative angle.
That's right. That's right. And it's nothing personal. It's just business. That's all at the end of the day. So if somebody did want to take a flyer on Canada, I wouldn't hate it, but I do think it's a little anti-American at this point in time. And it was a great game on Saturday. You don't want to be pulling for Canada as this game's going off tonight. So I do like the 5.5 under. Julian Edlow, the puckhead himself. All right. Now back over to the hardwood, and let's talk about the college. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the college edition here. And last night, great game. Missouri was on them. Haven't dabbled too much in the world of college basketball, but now it's front and center, of course. I have been watching all of it, but I haven't wagered because obviously dialed in everything with the NFL. But here we are last night, back on the horse. Missouri comes out hot, and they score a buck. What did they have? $109 last night. It was stupid. 110, something like that. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But a big win over Alabama. I know I asked you last time you were on how many teams could win the national championship. But as we talk about the SEC, because that's where I think we need to focus, what's your outlook on that conference, right? Like, are they as good as advertised from top to bottom? Do you think we're going to see 2 teams in the Final Four slam dunk? Is Alabama just as good as Auburn? They played a better second half in that matchup on Saturday over the weekend, but I could look at Auburn and I can make the case. But even so, Julian, I'm still looking at Duke being a better team than Auburn. I am. I'm buying into what I was selling. I think Duke is a better team. If they do match up, I think Duke wins that game. But how good is the SEC in your mind? And I know we're 3 Saturdays away from, of course, conference tournament time. So we do have a couple games left. But when we're talking about conference tournament and March Madness, what's a team or 2 that you think could make a run representing the SEC?
SEC is for real. I think there was a prop floating around like pick'em SEC versus the field to win it all. I'll see if we can get that going at DraftKings. And I'll bet SEC pick'em. Are you kidding me? I get Auburn, Alabama, Florida, even Missouri, who's now going to move into potentially even the top 10. Who am I not even naming? On the outskirts, you got your Kentuckys, your
Missouri.
Right, Missouri. But you get the cream of the crop with the SEC. I think they're the real deal. I like Florida and Alabama are the 2 that I've put the most behind. We'll see what happens there. Florida's kind of ticking up a little bit. Alabama off the 2 losses, I think, is 14-1 or so. It's a decent buy low spot on them. I think we're going to see the SEC look awesome come tournament time, because they're going to be completely polished. There's no breaks. You go at it every night. So I don't know, like Duke in the ACC, like they haven't been well tested in a while, and they play Illinois at MSG on Saturday night. Decent game, but Illinois is now playing like their worst basketball of the season.
True.
I just don't I don't know what the number is going to be on Duke to win the ACC tournament. I would love, if it's anything reasonable, I would love that. But I'm going to fade Duke at some point in the NCAA tournament when they go up against, it's a freshman-led team. When they go up against like an experienced SEC team, I will be on the other side. So yeah, if you're taking me out of the SEC for teams to win it all, it's like Houston, Iowa State. But Houston has to be the front runner there. So handful of teams. I'll give you like two teams that I took long shots on this week. Missouri at 70-1. And
It's an impressive win last night. It really was. And they've been playing great basketball that people haven't been believers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's always easier when you're playing at home and you start off with a 12-0 run. That's going to, and then Nick Oates gets a technical. But bottom line is Missouri looked like the real deal. They got outside shooting. They got size. They got speed. And if they could score a buck, they could run with anybody.
I took Missouri at 70-1. They're 40-1 now. I took Maryland at 66-1. Sneaky good Maryland team. Now 50-1. Again, I don't believe these teams are going to win it, but you make an Elite Eight run or something, and you can work with that. So yeah, that's and real quick, these leads for Alabama, you go down 9-0 to Auburn, you trail by 9 at half, you lose the game by 9. You go down 12-0 to Missouri, trail by 13 at half, lose by whatever, right around there.
Mm-hmm.
These are like the first 2 minutes of the game that's getting Alabama, and then they play them even for 38. So Saturday, hosting Kentucky, coming off a big win, I expect Alabama to be dialed in early. They are not going to let that big hole happen. I think Ken Palm's got it 6. If I can get Alabama first half laying like 3.5 at home, that's going to be one of the plays.
They smashed Vandy last night in a game I was watching in a quad box. 82-61 was your final score there. All right, quickly on this one, give me 30 seconds to talk about the Big Ten. What's the team you're looking at from the Big Ten that will represent when it comes to March Madness? Are you eyeing up Michigan? Is there another team? I know we got a great game tomorrow, Michigan and Sparty. DraftKings already laying the number out there. Michigan, 3.5-point favorites, 152.5. What's your thoughts on that game? And are you looking at a team from the Big Ten potentially making a run?
I don't know if I'm going to have any tickets. I know Wisconsin has been the hot team lately. They were in like the 60-1 range and are now 28-1. Wisconsin's been playing really well. I think they're a team to watch out for in March. I don't have a ton of Big Ten like future analysis, but tomorrow night I do like Michigan State's been kind of inconsistent going on the road. Michigan's basically a pick 'em now to win the Big Ten. They need to get this game at home. Big rivalry game against Michigan State. I will be on the Wolverines Friday night at home. Huge game.
All right. Not even a mention about the Sixers. I think that's how bad it is right now. I can't even bring it
You're
up.
the host. You ask the questions. So
I know. But no. It's like that's the thing. Like I don't
mind taking the points with them out of the break here against the Celtics. Even
really,
I didn't say I'm going to do it. I just said I don't mind it.
Is the number low in your mind? 7.5
came down from 8. You got everybody playing. We know what happened the last time in this building. Huge job.
Yeah, they blew a 26-point lead.
I had some fun live bets on that game.
Oh, this team is a disaster.
Sunday night, no football. I was just sitting on the couch like, why not?
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do.
I love those. Julian, you're the best. Good luck on those plays. College hoop season's here, man. Can't thank you enough as always. Under 5.5, USA and Canada. I'm locking it in, sir. Let's go.
Let's go. See you on the ice tonight.
My man, there he is, Julian Edlow, joining us live via the stream. Thank you, Julian, as always. Great stuff there. All right, keeping it moving. Be sure to follow Julian and check out everything that he has happening as far as DraftKings is concerned. Great website over there. Great people. A lot of really, really in-depth articles that get you ahead as far as wagering on any of these sports. MLB with Stevie Bukes and fantasy of like they do it all over here as I'm pulling it up. They even have a tab for pop culture. How about that? Anyways, DKNetwork.com. All right, one of the gentlemen that writes for DK Network is Sean Barnard. He joins us on the other side with Sam Oshtry. Folks, picks and roll. We added to the roster this year. Year 3, and we got to step our game up. Sam's going to help us out this season, so we're going to be a little bit more front and center on your timeline, talking a little bit about the NBA more so. Of course, the Sixers are out of our minds, but bottom line is there's plenty to discuss when it comes to the association with games happening all night. Of course, the playoffs right around the corner coming up in April. So let's get it started today. Episode 1, Picks and Roll. Sam Oshtry, Sean Barnard live. They join me live on the other side. More after this. The Gambler and Gary Barbera on the Boulevard want to put $1,000 in your hand. Keep it locked right here to the Gambler for your chance to win $1,000, all courtesy by our friends over at Gary Barbera on the Boulevard. Each weekday, that's 9 times a day, you'll hear a keyword at the top of the hour, and you could win $1,000. So, is the Gambler and Gary Barbera the best? Boy, I guess.
Barbera was right.
It's a stud.
Is Super Coach Nick the best? Hello.
I'm Gary Barbera.
He's a phenomenal person.
I'm Gary Barbera.
That kid's a winner.
This is Coach Sirianni. Is Barbera the best?
Boy, I guess. I know, yeah. That was still
.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost-effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. Get started today by calling 844-844-iHeart. That's 844-844-iHeart.
Hi, it's me, your USPS Ground Advantage shipment. Just left the warehouse and hitting the road.
I know. Just got the notification.
Great. Smooth sailing so far. I'm almost there.
Yes, I know. I get all the updates.
Made it. Safe and sound.
I know.
Well, did you know I was with USPS the whole time?
Oh, yeah. I know.
Keep your business in the know with the USPS Ground Advantage service. Visit USPS.com/in-the-know.
Ozempic plus movement plus diet, that's the key to weight loss. And Future Health makes it easy to get started with affordable GLP-1s delivered 24 hours upon approval. Go to tryfh.com.
tryfh.com.
Future Health is not a healthcare services provider. Meds are prescribed at provider's discretion. Results may vary. Sponsored by Future Health.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
For a limited time, you can get KFC chicken with the sweet heat of hot honey. And after one bite, you'll wonder, how do bees make hot honey so hot? Are they special bees? Does KFC have dragon bees? Fire-breathing dragon bees that create spicy honey? No, silly. There's no such thing. KFC just partnered with Mike's Hot Honey to drizzle all over their crispy chicken. But dragon bees would be so cool. Try it now for only $7 or share a box with friends for $25. Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Big news, bacon lovers. Wendy's Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. For just $3, you get crispy, crunchy apple smoked bacon, 2 juicy beef patties, and plenty of cheese on a burger. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKIngs Sportsbook.
Eagles center Cam Jurgens is recovering from surgery to relieve a nerve problem in his back. He is expected to be 100% when training camp starts. The 76ers return from the All-Star break tonight to host Boston. Philly is looking to stop a 5-game losing streak and get back into play-in contention. And for the first time, WNBA trading cards are worth more than NBA cards. A complete set is selling for an average of $1,200. I'm Daryl Joyner.
Check out what DraftKings
has to offer this season with code SPORTS because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.
Things are off to a busy start for the Thursday drive home. Crawling on 95 southbound Penn's Landing to the Walt Whitman. There's a crash. The left lane's blocked. Further south, heavy Ridley Park to 320. And northbound 95, that's stop to go from the Vine Expressway up to Bridge Street. Busy on the Vine Expressway both ways. Schuylkill to Broad, westbound Schuylkill Jan, University to Vine, City to Belmont, heavy Gladwell to Conshohocken, and Blue Route to King of Prussia. Eastbound Jan 202 to Gulf Mills, Conshohocken to Belmont, and Montgomery Drive to South. Larry Totella, total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
This Saturday, February 22nd at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, it's the Pro Volleyball Federation's first All-Star match. The league's biggest stars will clash in a can't-miss event hosting the Indy metro area, home of the Indy Ignite. Catch every serve, spike, and save live on CBS. Don't miss this historic showdown of volleyball's finest. The Pro Volleyball Federation All-Star Match, this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Be there.
Stay tuned to Fox PHL The Gambler for the latest CEOs you should know.
Justin Jude, Global CEO of LKQ Corporation.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
For a limited time, you can get KFC chicken with the sweet heat of hot honey. And after one bite, you'll wonder, how do bees make hot honey so hot? Are they special bees? Does KFC have dragon bees? Fire-breathing dragon bees that create spicy honey? No, silly. There's no such thing. KFC just partnered with Mike's Hot Honey to drizzle all over their crispy chicken. But dragon bees would be so cool. Try it now for only $7 or share a box with friends for $25. Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Lowe's knows that your deadlines don't change, even when your job does. But with Lowe's Buy Online, Pick Up in Store, we'll help you adjust on the fly. And when you absolutely can't leave the project, we can deliver to your job site as soon as same day. Lowe's knows pros. We help, you save. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Your home for Villanova basketball is WDAS and WD273D. Fox Sports Radio Philadelphia. Now, your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Green. That's green. Enter it now.
FoxPHLGambler.com. Once again, FoxPHLGambler.com right now. Hey now, picks and roll. Sean Brace, Sean Barnard, and we're adding to the roster the great Sam Oshtry. Normally joins me in studio on Thursdays. He's live via the stream on Thursday. So is Sean Barnard. Good afternoon, gentlemen. We got a lot to discuss. NBA back in action, of course. Dipped our toes into the water last night with the Charlotte Hornets double-digit dogs winning outright.
Rebound Vincent, back to LeBron, 3 for the tie. No! And the Hornets grab the win in Los Angeles. Final score, 100-97.
Oh, but I thought the Lakers were going to represent the West in the NBA Finals. How quickly that changes. I guess the computers don't know as much as we make them out to believe. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the issues that are happening in the NBA, and there's nothing bigger than Wemby missing the rest of the season. Sean Barnard, I want to start with you, sir. We got the lay of the land as far as defensive player of the year and the shift there. So that's kind of taken care of. But if you want to go into that, that's fine. But I'm looking for more so of like losing out as NBA fans, because that's where it starts for me. There was nothing better than watching a Wemby game. I mean that. Like, he has delivered so many times that he's gotten the opportunity. It feels like every time he steps to the microphone, he's asked certain questions about playing time, missing games. The All-Star game, he was front and center saying, look what happened. We got the OGs playing pretty hard, didn't we? And then now we're going to lose Wemby for the rest of the season. So I'm kind of gutted. I know we all are as basketball fans.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest theme, to be honest, is this is a huge loss for basketball fans everywhere. That Wemby was must-watch television every time he suited up out there. And frankly, I thought this Spurs team had the potential to make a little bit of noise this year. That I do believe in the Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox duo. That I do think the young talent that continues to grow there, the Keldon Johnsons, the Devin Vassell's, that they were starting to put together a little bit of a squad down there in San Antonio. So definitely really disappointing from that standpoint. Obviously, first and foremost, got to acknowledge just the health and best wishes for Wembanyama as well. Hopefully this is a one-time thing as it is being reported, but this is a similar circumstance to what limited Chris Bosh's career. We saw Brandon Ingram be shut down for a season for this, and he has bounced back just fine. So certainly hoping that is the pathway that Wemby comes down. He is a generational talent. He is everything that he's been advertised to be and more. So do hope this is a speedy recovery, that he's back on the floor with no restrictions next season, but definitely gutted just from the basketball fandom perspective of not being able to get to watch this guy in a potential playoff setting for the first time, which I did think was on the table this season.
Ooh, that's where I want to go with you, Sam. Were the Spurs going to put it together this second half in your mind? I think they're 23-29, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, we're aggressive at the trade deadline. Got De'Aaron Fox. Felt like he's fitting in nicely. And of course, with Wemby, anything's possible. They got other players on that squad that are pretty darn good at the end of the day as well. Now off the table. And if Wemby was healthy, were they making the playoffs in your mind?
Probably not. Just because of the West and how deep it is. Like, the Warriors got better with Jimmy Butler. You got the Mavs once they're healthy back in that play-in picture. So probably not. It was plus 500 out of the All-Star break. So, I mean, there's some value there, but they probably weren't going to make the playoffs. But I was excited to see Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. I mean, we talked about this, Brace, but I love that duo together. Wemby, it's the best player he's played with in his career, but he's never had a downhill driver like that who can create for himself at that level. So I was really excited to see Wemby play with him. We only saw it for a few games. Like Sean said, you hope they're saying this is an isolated incident, and you hope that that's all it is. Like Brandon Ingram, it wasn't really a big deal. Like he was shut down for a season, then it wasn't a big deal. Chris Bosh obviously was towards the end of his career, but it ended his career. You really hope. I mean, we're talking about not just a generational player, potentially one of the best players. His ceiling could be one of the best players ever. Like me and Sean Barnard were talking about this over text in the last couple of weeks, like where we have him in terms of our top players in the league. And Sean had him as high as 5. I was like around 6 or 7. We're talking about that great of a talent. So you hope that it's not a big deal. I honestly thought that over these next few weeks are going to be key for the Spurs. And if they weren't winning games, they were going to not shut Wemby down, but slow his workload down. Because now it's, all right, can we get a top 5 pick in this draft? Because you pair Wemby with some of these prospects that are at the top of the draft, the Spurs are going to be really, really dangerous.
All right, now, cold and callous. We're not stepping over the body here by no means, but let's talk a little bit about the awards that, unfortunately, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year. It was his award. Should have won it last year, and he's not going to play the certain amount of games, 65 games. So now he is off the table. I actually don't mind that from the perspective of like, okay, now there's no guessing. So now it's somebody else on this list. I know we all have our takes on the 65 games. It's unfortunate that they've chose to go down this path. It made sense to me then. Now I'm like, I don't know if he would have won it, but I think he would have had a pretty good shot at winning the award. I think it's 49 games, if I'm not mistaken, Sean Barnard, that he's played in this year. So I maybe voters would have said that's not enough. However, that's how dominant he was, and I think he was minus 2,500 this morning at breakfast, as Julian pointed out. But now here we are, DraftKings Sportsbook, Defensive Player of the Year. We got movement all over the place. Jaren Jackson opens up as the favorite at minus 110. Evan Mobley plus 130. Dyson Daniels at 1,300. You got Dort in there at 20-1. SGA, come on down. Could SGA win Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in one season? That might go down as the greatest season an NBA player's ever had if that was the case. He's way down there, though. In your mind, Sean Barnard, where are you at right now with this award?
Yeah, it's certainly open for the taking at this point, that this was Wembanyama's award. Basically checkered next to it, penciled in Victor Wembanyama for Defensive Player of the Year, and that completely changes. And I will mention here, I do disagree with your take, Bryce, that I think it should be open for interpretation, that if you believe Victor Wembanyama provided more defensive impact in 49 games than the rest of the league did for the entirety of the season, I think you should have the right to vote for him for the award. I understand why they did the 65 game. For me, that is much more of like applicable to the MVP race. I think it makes more sense for that. For Defensive Player of the Year, I think Wemby still deserves to be in the hunt, but obviously that is not how the awards will go, as those standards have been set. For me personally, I do hope a perimeter-oriented player gets it. I don't see a guy with that level of interior impact that deserves to just win Defensive Player of the Year. For so often, we've kind of handed it to Rudy Gobert or these other names that have been clearly the anchor of their defense, but I don't see a guy who's quite going to that length. Jaren Jackson Jr., who you mentioned, is the favorite, an excellent rim protector, a guy who's certainly a key part of the success that Memphis is doing, but I don't think this is his best defensive season, just alone him individually. And when looking around the league, I think that's going to be really interesting how that Thunder race goes down. For me personally, without looking at the odds, Jalen Williams was my number one guess for who I believed could climb into that favorite conversation. I do worry that SGA, Lou Dort, and Jalen Williams will kind of split the vote a little bit in between them and have trouble for any of them kind of rising to the top. I think Bam Adebayo is certainly going to make his case, and he's a guy who's been openly campaigning for it for years. He is a player that fits that criteria of can switch 1 through 5, does guards on the perimeter for stretches there. So do give him a little respect there. I think it's open for the taking. If it were up to me right now, I think I would be penciling a vote in for Jalen Williams.
And I could not agree more with Sean that let's stop giving this award to bigs. Like, bigs deserve it to a degree, but when you have Rudy Gobert, who's won it 3 or 4 times, how many times he's won it, and then he's played off the floor in the playoffs and the Olympics because he's such a liability defensively, why are we giving this award to bigs every time? I get the job that they have to do as rim protectors. And Wemby, I got, because his impact as a big, he could also guard on the perimeter and switch almost anything. But his impact was so great that we hadn't seen anything like that in terms of his defensive on-off numbers really ever in the history of the sport. So that's why I was, all right, give it to Wemby, no problem. But it's always been a big award. Marcus Smart was the last guard to win it a few years ago. But besides that, it's almost always gone to bigs. I want to give the award to a perimeter guy who is guarding the toughest matchup. The best players in this league are guards and wings. Except Jokic, really. But pretty much guard and kind of Giannis. But really, guards and wings are the toughest matchups. And those guys are guarding them. So when I heard this news, immediately where my mind went was Lou Dort. And then I look at the odds, and Lou Dort actually has the best odds out of any of the Thunder players, including Shea, including Jalen Williams. And he's the 4th highest odds, I think, or 4th shortest odds, plus 2,000, I believe it is, right now on DraftKings. So I'm giving it to Lou Dort because this Thunder defense isn't just the best in the league. It's one of the best defenses statistically of all time. 104 defensive rating. Wow. I mean, that is a phenomenal defense that we haven't seen in years. So who's the best player on that defense? It's Lou Dort. To me, he's the guy who's guarding the best player every single night for the opposing team. Shea's a great defender. Jalen Williams is a great defender. Cason Wallace. They have so many great perimeter defenders. Lou Dort is their guy. I'm giving the award to Lou Dort if I had a vote.
20-1. I think it's worth the play. I definitely like your guys' breakdown. I'm a little concerned, like you said, Sean, with the split, but when they're as good as they are and putting up historic numbers, as Sam just pointed out, oh, by the way, at top of the charts in the West. But that's the issue that I would say from the voters' perspective. If they keep it simple, don't you think Mobley has more of an opportunity to win that because of how if Cleveland continues their path and they're at the top at the end, after it's all said and done, they're going to want to reward somebody from that team. I could see Mobley being the guy at plus 130, not to sit here and say there's value there, but at plus 130, it's a nice price. Or am I just wasting my breath here and it's Jaren Jackson for another time?
Yeah, no, I think Mobley will absolutely be in play, especially if the Cavs do finish with the top record in the East, which looks fairly likely in my eyes at this stage here. And by the way, I did also want to mention a guy that I think would be the front runner for this if he'd played enough games, Chet Holmgren, who's a huge part of that Thunder defense and the anchor there. That's another guy who's going to kind of come into the conversation, not that he will be eligible, but might eat into a little bit of the vote. So I think like the more I think it over, I'm kind of scared of all these Thunder guys for actually winning it just from the stance of this really is like an elite team defense across the board, that each one of these guys digs digs in and does their job at a really high level. So I do wonder from the award standpoint if that's going to kind of harm all of them here. So Mobley's a good shout there. I certainly could see the voters leaning that direction and wanting to reward this Cavaliers team when kind of having the critiques for bigs. Mobley does do the things that I ask for, that he does switch out to the perimeter. He is a guy that they funnel things into him. Neither Garland or Donovan Mitchell are particularly strong defenders. In fact, guys that get targeted at times. So he's responsible for cleaning a lot of that up. Certainly could see Mobley emerging as the favorite in the coming weeks. I do see a world where it comes down to a two-man race between him and Jaren Jackson because of kind of the traditionalist approach to big man getting the nod there.
All right. Let's move off of Defensive Player of the Year. Let's stay with the awards as we are opening up the second half of action, and we are well past the halfway point, but it is the second part of the NBA season, third part right around the corner with the NBA playoffs. But one award that is open, one award that's up for grabs right now, and I'm curious where you stand because DeAndre Hunter has a new spot, new place. Don't know about his playing time, so this would be great point to address right from the jump here. Sam is plus 280 DeAndre Hunter right now on DraftKings. Peyton Pritchard is your front runner. He's been all season. Essentially minus 150, still pretty good, significant lead as far as the odds-on favorite. But DeAndre Hunter in a new spot, Malik Beasley at 5-1, Naz Reid at 13-1. Where are we looking right now for sixth man of the year, Sam?
Yeah, well, the thing is, DeAndre Hunter moved into the starting spot almost immediately for the Cavs, and they might play with it a little bit. Him and Max Strus might go back and forth, but I feel like that's DeAndre Hunter's starting spot. So he was, I think he was right in contention when he was on the Hawks. But now that he's on the Cavs, it feels like if he's going to be a starter the rest of the season, you can't really call him a sixth man of the year. So look, I would be shocked if anyone but Peyton Pritchard wins this award. He's been phenomenal for the Celtics, and the Celtics have dealt with a ton of injuries too. Like Drew Holiday's been in and out of the lineup. Jaylen Brown earlier this year dealt with some stuff. Obviously, Derek White has had some sicknesses, illnesses here and there. Like Peyton Pritchard's been the guy. He's consistently been there. He's been phenomenal off the bench. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the entire league. He's literally tiny. Like when you watch him out there, it's like an ant. Like against guys, he can take anyone off the dribble. Anytime a big switches onto him, it's an automatic Peyton Pritchard ISO, do your thing, step back. He can finish over bigs, finish over the trees. For his height, it's so impressive, his finishing ability. I've been so impressed with him all year. So I don't think there's any way Peyton Pritchard kind of loses this award unless, of course, some injury happens.
Mm-hmm. It's intriguing there because, yeah, with Hunter now into the starting lineup, I think that has to remove him from consideration for a lot of voters out there, but we'll see how they look at it. Voters are in their own minds. All right, Sean Barnard, do you agree, disagree? Is there a player that you have your eye on for the sixth man of the year? Or, look, plus or minus 150, if it's a slam dunk, well worth the stab for Peyton Pritchard at this point in time?
Yeah, I honestly think there is value on that minus 150. That I understand you're not getting juice or a massive payout, but I do think that this is his award to lose. And he has provided like a legitimate weapon for that Celtics team off the bench. To just run through like his stats, this once again is coming off the bench, averaging 13.8 points per game, 3.5 assists, 3.9 rebounds, shooting 41.1% from three on 7.7 3-point attempts per game. That's real deal volume, real deal efficiency, and a guy who I was really high on coming out of Oregon. He's way better than I ever imagined that Peyton Pritchard could be there. So shout out to him. If I do want to look a different direction, I think long shot is the approach here. You could look for Naz Reid winning a second one at plus 1,300. Amin Thompson at plus 2,500 is intriguing to me, although it wouldn't shock me if he ends up basically a full-time starter for that Rockets team. They have so much talent there that they're still kind of juggling where they all slot in. But personally, I believe Amin very well could be the building block of that franchise moving forward. There's also a plus 8,000 long shot on Bradley Beal that intrigues me a little bit. The Suns have regressed him to an off-the-bench role. If this is something that he embraces, provides a spark, that is something that I could see voters talking themselves into for him winning that. Personally, I'm not the biggest Bradley Beal guy and probably don't see that happening. But for plus 8,000, if you're a believer, I don't think that's a bad place to take a stab.
All right. From the awards, now we'll get on to some games. But before we do that, and of course, the Sixers back in action. We're running a three-man weave here on Picks and Roll. Sam Oshtry from The Score, Sean Barnard from DraftKings Sportsbook. I am Sean Brace. Let's go ahead and dive into a topic that I opened up with. And I'm curious to know where you guys stand on this as big basketball fans, aficionados, guys that eat, sleep, and drink the association. And I love the NBA. Hey, I got League Pass. I do. On my computer, I tune in. I'm watching late night. Used to watch a lot more, though. And like as a consumer, as a fan, to me, college basketball way better than the NBA this year. And I don't remember the last time I've been able to say that. just one man's take. Hashtag one man's take. That's all. But I am concerned, though, and I think the league should be concerned. And I don't care about ratings. I care about watching games. I care about being a fan of these teams. And I could look you dead in the eyes, guys, right now and say that there's only 9 teams in the NBA that are worth tuning in for on a nightly basis. And that's not good. That's not good at all. There are
right, have fun watching Four Nations. Have fun watching hockey in the Four Nations.
Well, again, I'm college hoops. College hoops. All right. But again, like I said, I can make the case for teams like the Houston Rockets, good squad on the rise. I can make the case for the Detroit Pistons. I can make the case for the Orlando Magic. But I think I'm really scraping the barrel trying to say, like, hey, you need to be watching Paulo Banchero or Franz Wagner. I don't know. Like, I feel like the league is in an interesting spot. And I'm not talking about changing rules. But, man, like, if I can only look at you and say that a third of the league is worth tuning in for, I think that's troublesome. Sam, I'll start with you on that take. Am I off my rocker on this one?
Yeah, I mean, you're beyond off your rocker on this one.
No! How? And what's beyond? Help me out.
Because I think the league's at its best spot because it's as talented as ever. And that means there's more teams than there's ever been that are actually worth watching. Like, think about it a decade ago when it was literally every single year, it was the Cavs or whatever team LeBron James was on versus the Warriors in the finals. There was literally only 2 teams worth watching because no one else had a chance. I don't think there's more than 4 or 5 teams who have a legitimate chance this year, but you're going to see some upsets in the playoffs. So that means there's more teams than ever worth watching. Like a team like the Pistons, like Cade Cunningham has been awesome. Like him and Jaden Ivey, before Jaden Ivey was out for the year with his injury, that was an electric backcourt to me. Then Jalen Duran, the young guys, like that's a team that's like no one would ever think of watching. I love watching them. Like the Hawks were more fun this year before Jalen Johnson got hurt. Trae Young's having the best season of his career to me, even though the numbers and the scoring is down a little bit. To me, his passing, his efficiency. I like the Hawks, teams like that. Like to me, there's more teams than ever worth watching because there's more contenders. There's more parity throughout the league. And a reason for that is because the talent across the NBA is as high as it's ever been.
With that being said, back to you, Sam. Who's in the NBA Finals right now, if I made you pick right now?
The Thunder and the Celtics.
All right, then. What are we talking about here, then?
But
you're making the case the Detroit Pistons are going to upset somebody. Come on.
I'm not saying that, but like think about the last. But number one, the Cavs do have a chance. I would be shocked if the Thunder aren't in the finals. The Cavs do have a chance. But think about the last few years. Like the Pacers made a run to the conference finals. The Hawks a few years back made a run to the conference finals. The Lakers have made runs to the conference finals as like 7 seeds. Like there's openings for that now in a way that it didn't really exist a decade ago even.
All right. I like where he started, Sean Barnard. Now you could finish, and I know that you're going to be Mr. Positive for the association.
I know I have him with me on this one.
Yeah, I mean, my answer would be how many NBA teams are watchable would be 30 from my perspective here.
Come on.
I mean,
the
I'll use last night.
The New Orleans Pelicans, come on.
You don't want to watch Zion Williamson play basketball whenever he is playing basketball?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I get the injury stuff and the load management, all the critiques, all that, the 3-point volume. I guess what I'll say here is like, you're not unique in this opinion, Brace. Like there's certainly a lot of people that feel this way. And I'll say
it's like unique to me this year, though. It's unique to me this year.
Like I 2 weekends ago went up and got a chance to catch up with a bunch of my friends from college, kind of catching up on all that. And it was kind of interesting to me that they had a really similar opinion on that they're kind of checked out of the NBA till playoffs, including like friends of mine that are Celtics fans and like all locked in with all that. It's kind of surprising, a little bit eye-opening, that conversation that like, I think this is more of a widespread belief than me or Sam would spit back at you here. But an example that I would push back on is like, look at last night's game. Yes, the story of watching it was Luka Doncic and LeBron James. I came away with that loving watching LaMelo Ball hoop again. And like that to me, like LaMelo is bordering on must-watch TV for me because you never know what he's going to do on every given night. And there's sort of one of those players on every single team. So the talent's certainly deeper than possible. There's teams at different spots in their kind of trajectory here. But I think that there's something watchable that you will enjoy as a basketball experience in every team.
And let me just say real quick, the play-in has been one of the best things for the NBA because now these next, it used to be coming off the All-Star break. It was like, all right, just get us to the playoffs. This isn't really entertaining. Teams are just coasting until the playoffs. With the play-in, these next 2 months are the most fun months in the NBA. I know everyone's attention is turning to college basketball and March Madness when that rolls around. But these 2 months, other than the playoffs, are the best 2 months of the regular season because you have so many teams in it. Like the Suns, the Kings are vying for playoff spots. That's going to determine those teams' futures. Like the Sixers and Hawks. How are they? There's more teams than ever in it because of the creation of the play-in who are playing for something. And yeah, they're probably going to get bounced in the first round, all those teams, but it still makes it more fun and more intriguing in these last couple months of the year.
Yeah, and you never know who's going to, toss a game for betting purposes. Scary Terry. No, I kid. Those final 2 weeks of the NBA season are a little tough. But you are right. The playing game has added an extra element. By the way, if there's a way, I know there is. Yeah, you can actually listen to the games on NBA.com. But this dude right here, Sam Farber for the Hornets, is electric. And last night had the call with LaMelo Ball down the lane.
LaMelo wants the pick from Mark Williams. He'll use him. One-on-one with Vanderbilt now. 5 on the shot clock. 4. LaMelo into the lane. Up with the right hand. Finger roll for 2. And the Hornets lead it by 4 with 14 seconds left.
He's actually television, isn't he? TV? Is he TV?
Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, he is TV. He's not radio, but he's fantastic. Anyways, fun game to get it started last night. Now we roll on and we got a full slate of action here on DraftKIngs Sportsbook. Let's go ahead and dive into the Sixers. Let's do it. All right. First and foremost, I have a quote or a soundbite from Dr. J on Joel Embiid. I've yet to hear it. Have you guys heard this?
I have not.
All right. What do you say we have a listen together? This is Dr. J Q&A gives his thoughts on the big man.
Can you build a sustainable winner at some point around Joel Embiid as your main guy?
Well, I mean, if he moves to playing a third of the games, that's not going to happen. And he just got a new contract. So you always say it was not a guy's fault if his body's betraying him. But, that's an excuse.
That's the great Justin Termini on NBA radio, which is a great listen on my ride home. Yeah, nothing there. It is interesting to hear from Dr. J, who is Mr. Sixer, of course, and wouldn't say a bad word about the organization. So a little bit of honesty there. And I think we're all in agreement, right? Like Joel Embiid, if he's not healthy, he doesn't play. Well, no one's stating anything different. It's the obvious. They're in trouble. It's based around Joel Embiid. What I want to get to, though, is Paul George and the vacation. Yeah. I get it. These guys have off time, but I don't know, putting pictures out like that, no. Am I?
Is there a better way to retool, refresh your brain? I don't know.
No, I'm fine with it, but
maybe a little more family friendly picture. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Just picture at dinner, arm around her, something like that, maybe.
I know he did post a couple pictures. So I guess what I would want to say is what's our assessment right now of Paul George? Sean, I'll start with you. And I get it with the player, what he's limited on the floor, and now he's dealing with the injury with his finger. And that's a real injury. Let's be honest about it. I did see it sticking out, and he could be dealing with some real deal issues in that hand, and it sucks. But all in all, that's late in the season. And now this is Paul George bought in. Is this going to be an issue next year? Is this going to end positively for the Sixers and Paul George? I know I'm asking to look down the road here, but right now in my gut, I'm not getting a good vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a little bit sympathetic for Paul George for if I'm, divvying up the blame pie for this Sixers season. Joel Embiid's certainly taking the largest slice. That's the guy that simply has not been around. And Paul George was not brought here to be a Batman. He was brought here to join an already established contending team with Joel Embiid as the foundation, and that foundation has not been here nearly regularly enough. Now, who knows what's going on with the knee and the injury concerns? We'll see the second half of the season whether this was some strategic plan to make sure he can be at his healthiest from the playoffs. And if it does fully work out in the Sixers' favor, history tells us that is not the best bet here. And I'm also not going to fully excuse Paul George. That last performance before the All-Star break in which he had 2 points, that stuff just cannot happen. And the injury concerns, I'm a little bit sympathetic from the standpoint that it has been a rocky route this entire season. Started the year with the bone bruise in preseason, picked up another bone bruise in that same knee. Then he had a groin issue that he dealt with. And then that finger, while it sounds like so lame, excusing a pinky finger on the non-shooting hand, that still does impact the way you dribble, the way you pass, the way you hold a basketball, go up and rebound, all those things. So it's been a failure for Paul George to this point. There's no doubt about it. When looking at his numbers, we're talking about like this lines up with like before Paul George became Paul George, like his rookie season, before anybody believed he could be this caliber of talent that he did prove to be. That's the kind of output that the Sixers are getting. That can't happen either. But I guess I will just say this to Paul is the opportunity still in front of him. If he has an awesome second half of the season, all is forgotten, all will be satisfied, and he'll be looked at quite favorably in Philadelphia. So it's been a failure to this point, but he has every opportunity to still redeem himself.
14.5 is his number tonight, Sam. averaging 16 points per game this season. Yeah, I would have said that that's disappointing if we're sitting here in February on February 20th and you're telling me Paul George's player prop is 14.5. I would have said, dude, he's not living up to my expectation. I think you have a different vibe though about this, if I'm not mistaken. Where are you at, Sam?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of at the point where it's all on Joel Embiid to me, because what we know about Paul George right now is he can't be the guy. And I think a lot of Sixers fans, and probably the Sixers organization to a degree, expected Paul George to carry the load on nights Embiid wasn't going to be there. But that was supposed to be an occasional night. Like every back-to-back Embiid was going to sit. Or maybe like a two-game stretch on a road trip. Like Paul George is going to be the guy. Paul George has had to be like the guy consistently alongside Maxey, and he can't do that anymore. That's pretty clear. Like the separation, he can't create separation. He can't beat guys off the dribble. His efficiency is down. His free throws are down, which means he's not getting to the line, which means he's not getting to the rim as much. Everything, obviously, his scoring's down. Everything across the board is down for Paul George because he can't be the guy that he was, obviously, in Indiana. And a lot of those years with LA, especially when Kawhi Leonard was out, we saw a great version of Paul George being a 1A guy. He can't do that anymore. But I'm not putting blame on him because like Sean said, he didn't come here to be Batman. He came here to be not even Robin necessarily. Whatever. Haven't seen the Batman movies, but there's Batman, Robin, then there's probably someone else. Alfred. Paul George is supposed to be, who is it?
Alfred.
Alfred. All right, Alfred. Paul George is supposed to be Alfred. Like he wasn't, like it was supposed to be Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and Paul George is supposed to be a spot up guy who in spurts was going to be when those guys were on the bench or sitting for whatever reason. In spurts, he was going to be 1A. He can't be a 1A, but I'm sympathetic to him, of course, because of the injuries, because I do think they are legitimate and just been one of those down years, but more so because Joel Embiid has not been on the floor with him at all. They haven't had any time to gain any type of chemistry or flow or anything. So I'm not putting that much blame on him. Am I concerned that this is going to end poorly in the next few years as he just continues to age and probably decline athletically? Of course I am. But it's all on Joel Embiid's health. If Joel Embiid can consistently play games, Paul George will be better off for it, and then we can properly evaluate him.
Do we expect anything to be different this second half of the season with Joel Embiid, Sean Barnard? Like he's in there tonight, right? And Joel Embiid has shown us that he could be that JoJo that we've seen, maybe not defensively. He looks definitely a little slower defensively this year than ever in my mind. But offensively, it seems like he could sleepwalk to 29-30 still. Maybe not 70, but again, he is still a dominant damn player out there, a big man at that. But do we expect something different? Is this all or nothing from Daryl Morey and the front office's approach with Nick Nurse doing what, as they say, not so much back-to-backs, as I think that's off the table, but do we expect him to be playing a little bit more? Let's just start there.
He simply has to. That for tonight's game specifically, I believe this will be the 14th game that we've seen all season with Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George together. That's just not enough there. Like that just has to be more for them to have any sort of chance for what they're trying to do this season. We'll see. Like the Embiid status overall, the hardest part about it to me, and Nick Nurse even acknowledged this yesterday at practice, it's not how he looks like physically or how he can move on the floor. It's all about the next day and what happens to that knee. Does it swell up? How does it respond to being pushed there? And not even Joel knows the answer to these things, man. This is one of those things you got to kind of roll with the punches and hope for the best. And that's all the Sixers can do. So that's not the most glowing amount of optimism for it working out. But I do at the same time, like common sense here, thinking like it just has to be a little better than what we saw for the first half of the year. There has to be a clearer effort, but you are just kind of grasping at straws and hoping for the best. A lot of it is outside of Joel Embiid's control and the Sixers' control, which is a pretty scary thought there.
Jaron checking in. Your boy's ripping on you. Never seen the Batman movies. Imagine.
I haven't.
Catwoman. Catwoman would have been a good one to pull too, right? She was like Batman's like fling, but she helped out at times too, I thought.
So that would be like Paul George's girlfriend posting on
yeah, I feel like we're doing Paul
vacation.
George parody in all of these comparisons here, but
Paul George, it's no shock. He has himself a hot chick, that's for sure. I was
you don't know the backstory with that one, Brace?
What reality show is she from? What?
Correct.
Yeah.
No.
That's what I thought.
And a brief backstory here. I would say go down the rabbit hole of Google for the full story, but he was dating Doc Rivers' daughter and then cheated on her with this girl, got her pregnant, and this is now his wife and family.
Wow. And then Doc Rivers' daughter is now dating Seth Curry, right?
Correct. Yeah.
What a family tree.
Yeah, I'd have Paul George.
Oh man,
Doc's never coached Paul George, has he?
I think they did. I'm pretty sure he did. I think he during this stretch was coaching Paul George, if I'm correct.
Doc's last couple years in LA, where Paul George is first. Oh, that makes sense.
Well, he was in LA for a long time. Did Doc? Well, whatever. I don't know.
Can you
man.
imagine that locker room?
No, I can't. There's a situation with the Yankees, right? Who? What's his name? Bellinger. Bellinger used to date, or Bellinger's wife used to date Giancarlo Stanton. And so that's an intrigue. I don't know. Whatever. It is what
he did officially coach Paul George in LA. I'm trying to see the timeline.
When they blew what lead? What was the lead they blew?
It must have been like that first year Paul George was in LA.
Yeah, it had to be. All right, let's keep it moving. And again, from the standpoint of the action on the floor, night 2, the NBA is back this evening. A lot to choose from. Sam, I'll start with you on this one. Sixers plus 7.5. Are they keeping this close? Are they winning outright? Celtics too good to pass up here. Where are you at in that number?
Yeah, I think actually the Sixers are going to keep it pretty close. I mean, we saw what happened Christmas Day. When the Sixers team was healthy and all together and those 3 guys were playing, we saw them obviously beat the Celtics, and that was probably their best, most impressive performance of the season. So I think the Sixers at home can keep it close. You kind of like Joel Embiid should be the healthiest he's been because he hasn't played basketball in a while because of the All-Star breaks. Like should be, obviously you don't know, but you should see a better performance from him. So I think the Sixers keep it close. I actually think they match up pretty well. The Celtics are playing really well since like the last 8 or 10 games before the All-Star break. The All-Star break stops, kind of halts that momentum a little bit. Sixers are healthy, not healthy, but as healthy as they'll ever be coming out of the All-Star break. Whole team's playing. I think this is a pretty good game. I could see the Sixers winning by like 2 or 3 even outright.
Ooh. Wow. All right. I like yeah, I mean, I'm with it. Let's go. Plus 235 in the money line. You're feeling froggy. Take a leap. Sean Barnard, same question to you. I also want to dive into Maxey here. 25.5. Is that too good to pass up as well?
Yeah, I like that number there for Maxey. That I do think he clears that. He had a little bit of downtime, which I think was good for him. He's second in the league in minutes, second in distance traveled overall, trailing just Mikal Bridges in both of those categories there. He's had a ton on his plate, and I think it was good for him to get a little bit of time away from the court and that downtime. He also acknowledged that final game, before the Nets game in which he obviously missed leading up to it, that he was dealing with a bit of a knee issue. That happened on that first play against the Raptors there, and really ended up being the worst performance of Tyrese Maxey's career, I thought, from what we saw from him on the field. Attempted just 9 field goal attempts. I think we see the real version of Tyrese Maxey show up again. So I do like that number. And I do share Sam's belief here. Maybe this is that I've just had just enough time to kind of talk myself back into this team. But I do think that this Celtics team will have a little bit more trouble picking up where they left off from the stance of those guys all having things to do during All-Star weekend. And as much as we joke about everything with the Sixers team, I do think it was the best thing for them to just be away, relax, do whatever you need to do, and then lock back in for this final stretch. So it's an optimistic outlook, but it's one I'm taking for tonight.
Very optimistic, but that's all right. It's all we have at this point in time. So, we got a lot of basketball to be played. So I don't want to give up, but I'm sure as hell not believing, that's for sure. But anyways, let's keep it moving here. And we are going to give, I gave the boys a homework assignment. I'm going to Disney tomorrow, having some fun. So I wanted to go down the list of all the great Disney characters, movies, cartoons, all that, and create the ultimate starting 5. I sent them mine. I'll reveal that. I do have some good size. I got a lot of magic. I even have a dog and Air Bud as my 2. So watch out. We're going to see if Sam and Sean can compete and put the roster together full of Disney characters in celebration of myself heading out of town tomorrow. Looking forward to it. But let's keep it going here as far as the games on the card this evening. And let's go ahead and check in with the Lakers and the Portland Trailblazers. Lakers only a 1.5 favorite here, Sam. Are they in trouble tonight? 224.5 on the road in Portland, or does this get ugly for Portland? Portland's been playing a little bit better. What's your thoughts on this game tonight?
Yeah, so Luka's out. That's why that line is like that, which is kind of expected off a back-to-back. I actually think I like the Lakers more because Luka's out. What you've been seeing a lot from them is, I wouldn't say forcing, but it's a team that you're bringing in one of the best players in the NBA, and you're trying to learn how he plays. He's trying to learn how everyone else plays, and it's just one of those situations where you're kind of like forcing him into the action, and he's so gifted that it won't be a problem moving forward. But I like that they may be able to play a little freer without Luka in the lineup tonight. So I think this is a good spot for the Lakers.
Sean Barnard?
I'm a little nervous about this one from the Lakers standpoint. That I think, like, I definitely hear Sam on the stance of, like, there's definitely they're not all on the same page yet, and that's as expected. Like, historically, when you think about that magnitude of superstar, which we don't even really have kind of a historical context for this type of move, but when you think about that magnitude of midseason change, it takes some time for everything to fall together. And me personally, I was ready to spearhead the Lakers run, that I was believing in this team when that Mark Williams deal was set to go through. Feel a lot differently when there is not a true center there. And as much as Jackson Hayes, I think, is fine as a rotational piece, he's not a starting caliber big man in the NBA, and they're kind of running into that realization in real time here. They added Alex Len. I still don't think that is quite enough from a big man standpoint, and I think this offseason is when we start to see this roster fully take form for the Lakers. But for tonight specifically, I do believe that this Trailblazers team is playing better basketball. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They lost 3 straight going into the All-Star break, but had won 10 of their last 11 before that. There's a lot of talent on this Trailblazers roster that it's kind of always been perplexing to me why they're losing as many games as they have. They can get hot on every given night. I do worry that there's just not quite enough rim protection on the Lakers stance here, and that Portland could have their way tonight.
Yeah, and I know Lakers were up and gave up a 23-24-1 run, if I'm not mistaken, last night. But
a couple big runs.
Luka ruled out 25 minutes ago. I did see that was a possibility. I understand it. I get it. But again, like, time isn't on your side. You got to make this happen. Or maybe they're not looking at it like that.
How about Luka just getting torched last night? Like, every single late game possession for the Hornets was find Luka's man, have him go set a screen, get a switch on to Luka, and just torch him. Like LaMelo Ball, he was literally a traffic cone out there. LaMelo Ball was just cooking him. And you can hide that when you have that Mavs team last year where you had PJ Washington, Derek Jones on the perimeter, and then you had a great big in all the time, Derek Lively or Daniel Gafford. You could kind of hide those defensive deficiencies. Like Sean just said, when Jackson Hayes and now Alex Len are your two big men down there protecting the rim, you can't hide Luka's deficiencies, especially because LeBron doesn't play any defense. So you just saw him on center stage getting cooked last night.
Yeah, LeBron was getting cooked on a timeline from what he did over All-Star Weekend, too. So it's just more of the same there. And I love JJ Redick's answer. He's like, I didn't watch the All-Star. Get out of here with that.
I think he's lying, too. I think he's lying.
You think he watched?
Yeah, I think JJ Redick absolutely watched All-Star.
Man.
I'm with Sean. I love JJ. I kind of think he puts on his persona like I'm like so locked in sometimes. It's like it's a little phony. I love JJ, but it's a little phony sometimes.
I don't know. Maybe you tune in, but there was a lot to tune out from. I actually like the games. I like the action. I think they have something with the action. If you're going to change it, give me more of that. Less of the inside the NBA. I get it. They wanted to show him love. We didn't need that. We don't need Kevin Hart out there. Just give me action. That's all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, let's keep it moving. And we will talk about the Golden State Warriors more from what Draymond said during the All-Star break. But let's get to another game here. Let's talk about the Suns and the Spurs. Currently on DraftKings Sportsbook, they're offering a double-up boost. Kevin Durant, 20-plus points. Games being played in Austin tonight. Going back to his alma mater where he played 1 year. Anyways, showing some love for KD. We know he's going to go off. He's a scorer, and that's what he does. They're 2.5-point favorites. Of course, no Wemby tonight, 238. Sam, I'll come to you on this one. First of all, where are you comfortable stopping with the ceiling when it comes to Kevin Durant's point scoring tonight? So are we all in on the even money double up on DraftKings Sportsbook? And then number 2, Suns 2.5-point favorites. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I love the Suns in this spot. they've coming into the All-Star break or going into the All-Star break, they lost 3, lost 6 out of their last 7. Nobody needed a reset in the entire league more than the Suns. Just horrible vibes out of the trade deadline. You're trying to move Bradley Beal the whole time. It gets out that you're trying to get rid of Kevin Durant. You know Kevin Durant's probably getting shipped out next summer. Horrible vibes around the team. They needed this reset badly because they were just losing game after game after game. Now they can put off this late game push, try to make a play and run, and see what they can do from there. So I love the Suns in this spot. And, another guy that had a great All-Star break is Devin Booker. Rekindling with Kendall Jenner, that could do some things for him.
Ooh.
You didn't see that?
No, I did not.
Together.
Yeah,
Nice.
in Aspen. So that could do some things for D Book.
What do they say? It's a hard launch. Is that what the kids say? A hard launch.
He goes back
Relaunch?
from like Bad Bunny to Devin Booker like every other week. But do you, Kendall Jenner? I will say also the news with the Spurs. No Wemby, obviously that's got to hit. Like I don't know when the team found out. Maybe yesterday, maybe today, but that's got to hurt a little bit. Of course, just the sizable impact of him on the floor. Like they're so much better. His on-off numbers are unbelievable. They're so much better with him on the floor than off the floor. So the Spurs are probably one of the worst teams in the league, honestly, without Wemby. So I like the Suns from that perspective. And then this Austin game is awesome. I hope the league keeps doing this where they go back to superstars' colleges or their college towns all the time, because I think that's really cool to create cool atmospheres. And nobody just loves to hoop in front of people that appreciate them more than Kevin Durant. So you could see like a 40 ball from him tonight. I've been watching that USA, or it's not the USA, but it's the Olympic documentary, Court of Gold on Netflix. And you just see how much Kevin Durant loves basketball. And we knew this, like we've known this for a while. He just loves basketball. This is one of those games where he's going to put on a show.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with Sam here. I think it's a great spot for the Suns as well. To give one direction in favor of the Spurs, I do like De'Aaron Fox over 24.5 points here. I think this is one of the all-stars that we've seen kind of shifted around and gotten acclimated at a more rapid rate than most of these guys, with Jimmy Butler and Luka Doncic kind of in mind there. Fox has gotten busy real quickly on the Spurs team, and now he basically has a chance to run the show how he sees fit without Victor Wembanyama there. So obviously a huge hit for the Spurs team overall. I do think the Suns can capitalize this. And this is a spot where they have to take advantage of every opportunity moving forward if they're going to ensure that they have a playoff opportunity. So I think the Suns jump on this one, and also absolutely love this college idea. I haven't heard enough about this actually happening. Saw it floating on the timeline for the first time yesterday. This should be like pushed heavily that they are doing this, because this has the potential to be an absolutely awesome experience. And I think it's cool that Kevin Durant's being the first one sort of honored with it.
Yeah, and McCain turned 21 today. How about the Sixers going back and playing at Durham, right? And Duke, that'd be cool. I know they played a preseason game a couple years ago there. Quickly on this, I meant to hit this on the Luka discussion. Of course, DraftKings is floating a number out there for the 25th matchup. Of course, the Mavericks on the road in LA. Sean, I'm going to start with you. What's the number you're comfortable at taking Luka as far as over points?
Like 45 in that game,
really?
To be honest. I mean, I'm exaggerating there, but I do
think
but
what's the number? Because you've been watching him. That will be probably 4 games, maybe 5 if he's lucky that he's played. So if DraftKings hangs a what, you're on the over.
I'll go up to over 31.5. I'd feel pretty comfortable laying there. I think his numbers coming around. I think it was 25.5 yesterday before the game for that. I think his scoring scoring output will begin to increase in these coming games. Let's not forget, this dude averaged a league leading 33.9 points per game last season. This is who Luka Doncic is, and I think he is going to let out a lot of those frustrations in this game. So that is one that everyone will have circled on their calendar. Anthony Davis still, unfortunately, will not be back, which takes away a little bit of the allure, but Luka is still going to get busy. I think he knows those guys as well as anybody is going to capitalize on every little weakness they have. So to the same point about, Luka being hunted, Luka is going to be doing the hunting in that game, and he's going to find every opportunity to do those. So I do think that will be a big Luka Doncic performance, even if we haven't seen the best of him in a Lakers uniform yet.
They will only have one game. Of course, he's not playing tonight. They take on the Nuggets on Saturday, which is one that I've been circling. I think the Nuggets are going to absolutely roll. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement there. It's Tuesday, Lakers and the Mavs. It's 10 p.m., as I said, in L.A. Sam, how many points will Luka give us that night?
I think 31.5 is probably a good number, and I'd go the over. Luka's really struggling shooting the ball, so hopefully that Nuggets game when he plays can be a get-right game. I mean, just in terms of his performance and fitting in with the guys, he's just not shooting it right, which happens when you come back from injury. You didn't play in a few months. Like, you're going to be a little rusty, and we've seen that with Luka. I wish this game was in Dallas, because when that game's in Dallas, I'm taking an alt 40, legitimate alt 40.5, maybe 45.5 for Luka's over. But when it's in LA, it's not the same type of feel, but it's certainly a revenge spot. So if that number it'll probably be a little lower than 31.5, maybe like 29.5, but I'd go the over.
Yeah, I just think LeBron and feed him. Get the ball to Luka. That's the message. Get the ball to Luka. That's going to be the approach in LA as well. But I'm with you. I wish that game was being played in Dallas as well. They're losing their heads over there. Not a great PR situation right now. All right, give me
handling it terribly, by the way.
The worst they possibly could. It honestly might go down as one of the worst trades, like the start to a trade that I've ever seen. And we'd have to do some digging, mix and a match, but man, it's ugly right now.
And the GM was like, I don't think we anticipated this type of fan backlash.
We underestimated how much this would upset people.
Are you kidding me?
Like,
not
come
have
on,
a hold
man.
on your fan base or your city like that as the owners and the GM. It's just inexcusable.
He's 25. Like, he's so young. Come on, Nico. What's going on? And I'm starting to look at some things differently. We'll save that for another day because I'm not buying a kid and everybody didn't know. But like I said, we'll save that for another day. Anyways, give me 60 seconds here. Start with you, Sean, on this one. Draymond, we know who he is. He's boisterous. He's not going to back down. He's also a champion. They got Jimmy Butler. Right now on DraftKIngs Sportsbook, the Golden State Warriors, let's just say, to represent the West in the NBA Finals, are at 14-1. Is there anything in your mind that leads you to believe that the Warriors could make a run like Draymond said? He said win it all, but talk to me about the future of the Warriors this season with Jimmy Butler now.
Yeah, that's actually a lower number than I would have guessed for that, to be honest. I do think the Warriors are legitimate long shots. Their chances certainly improved with Jimmy Butler, and I think like any team that was willing to take that risk is really banking on we get that one hungry Jimmy Butler playoff run. And if he does that, there is a chance that they can make some noise. I more look at them as potential like Dragon Slayers, I would say, that they could knock off one of these top contenders in like an opening round or something like that. I don't necessarily look at them as like a real chance to win it, but I do think Butler fits what they're doing. I think he can kind of play like a more maximized version of like that Gary Payton type role where he is setting screens, rolling to the basket, attacking the rim. Him getting to the free throw line is a huge asset to their game because they're a team that has not done that a lot historically, and Butler does that at an excellent rate. So I think it was the right decision to make that kind of swing. I just don't think that there's enough potential for them to ultimately win enough games and go deep in the playoffs.
Sam Oshtry from the Score, 30-1, the Warriors to win it all on DraftKings. Worth the flyer?
I think it's worth a flyer because I think the Warriors are the third best team in the West.
Wow.
At this point. And look, I don't think anybody's beating the Thunder. And then I think the Nuggets would beat them in a series, and they're probably going to they would play them in one of those opening two rounds. So I'm not saying the Warriors are going to make a run. But right now, as the West is constructed, I think the Warriors are the third best team behind the Nuggets and behind the Thunder. So I'm not really sold on the Rockets. I'm not really sold on the Grizzlies, Lakers we talked about. I love the addition of Jimmy Butler. It's only been 4 games, so super small sample size. But Jimmy Butler's already averaging 21, 7, and 5. And more importantly, over those 4 games, the Warriors are 3-1, and Steph Curry's averaging 31 through those 4 games. He didn't average more than 24 points in a month this entire season. Like, he was having one of the worst seasons of his career. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to last. It's a very small sample size. But number one, you can see Jimmy Butler's a screener. He's a phenomenal screener. Him and Steph Curry running the pick and roll. He's a great slipper. A lot of the split actions that they run, he's perfect in those roles because he's such a cerebral player, and he can make quick decisions as a slipper, cutter, screener, all that type of stuff. And then you finally have someone where Steph can play more off ball, and you have a secondary creator, and that's what Jimmy Butler is. He looks as aggressive as he's been in really a couple seasons in my mind, because he didn't have it at all this year when he was playing in Miami and won it out. So I'm really high on this Warriors team with Jimmy Butler. I don't think they're going to win it all. I don't think they're going to win the West, like Draymond said. But as I look through the landscape of the West, and I don't love the Rockets or the Grizzlies or the Lakers, I got the Warriors as the third best team.
They got 3 winnable games right out the chute, so see if they can keep it going. They got the Kings tomorrow night in Sacramento. Then they got the Mavericks at home, 3:30 on Sunday, and then the Charlotte Hornets on Tuesday, February 25th. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, great first episode. Thank you, boys. Awesome job across the board. I knew it was going to be a great listen on all things NBA. We will continue to mix it up, have some fun. And with that, I am going to Disney tomorrow. You might have heard about it 100 times this week. And I asked the boys, I say, you know what? Disney movies, Disney characters, cartoons, bad guys, all of the above. Give me a starting 5 that you think that could compete, that could win against my team. Possibly not going to happen, but that could even compete versus my starting five. My starting five is as follows. At the point guard position, had to go with Mickey. I mean, he's a guy that gets the whole team involved. He's got magic. His hand, like, he can do it all. He's a great point guard. So Mickey's my PG. At the 2 spot, Air Bud. Come on, man. That golden retriever going high. Great
got that
from
dog in
downtown.
him.
Yeah, he's got that dog in him. Exactly. Air Bud as my 2. At the 3 spot, I'm going Maui. You know, like, you could typically want some more offense. I get it, but he's a bruiser, and he's a guy that can change. He can shift. He can do anything that's needed to be done. Great team guy. And, oh, by the way, ticket sales will be through the roof because of Maui. Also, at the 4, power forward, Goofy. Needs no explanation. He's long. Pull down them boards. He's like Dennis Rodman-esque, right? And then at the center position, I went Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Who wants to go? You know what I mean? Like, you ever go, you play, shirts and skins, and like that big dude down low is just sweaty, and you got to end up guarding him. And you're like, oh my God, I'm just getting That's Beast. No one wants to go up against Beast. So my starting 5 right there, pretty darn good. Sean Barnard, do you have a starting 5 that you think could compete with mine?
I do, and we're getting evil. We're getting nasty with my starting 5 is my tactic here. So I'm starting off at point guard. I'm throwing Stitch in the mix. I know he's only 3'5" according to Google here, but I see a little, Jose Alvarado, Patrick Beverly in him, that he can be that type of pest on the floor. That's who's holding things down at the 1. At my 2, I'm going Scar. When we think about where his evil origin started, it all was with jealousy from his brother Mufasa. We've seen this time and time again. You got to break up stars, give them their own show. And that's what I expect to go down with Mufasa running the show as my starting shooting guard. At the 3, we're going Captain Hook here. I did a deep dive into the NBA rules and cannot find anything mentioning utilizing a hook on the floor. We're going to use that to our advantage for my team of monsters here. So Captain Hook at the 3. At the 4, we're going Jafar from Aladdin here. Measures in at 6'3". I like the size there. We can add a little bit on the boards. We're attacking the rebounds heavily on this roster. And to close that out, we're going with our beef. We're going Gaston at the 5. Legend has it that he can bench press houses. I hear he's in the weight room with Jalen Hurts getting the squats on. That's dude who's going to be our enforcer. He's holding things down. That's my starting 5. We're going Stitch, Scar, Captain Hook, Jafar, and Gaston.
That is really good. Now, here's the issue. Who the hell is Gaston?
Gaston?
Gaston? He's from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, the strong guy.
Wait.
By the way, Brace, little Disney information for you. If you see Gaston running around, you can challenge him to a push-up contest there. He never loses.
I got Brace in that.
He's a big dude. I am in the best shape I've been in years, but
there we go.
I don't know if I got Gaston in me, though. Anyway, he's a big dude. I didn't know Gaston. All right, so we're learning here. With that being said, Sam Oshtry comes out to shoot, and he's firing us a candidate that's not even Disney. It's Warner Brothers, bro.
Oh
Lola,
my God.
do you have Lola in your starting 5?
You should have told me that before. I was literally about to ask, is Space Jam a Disney movie?
No, it's not. That's why I was like, wait a minute, Space Jam isn't a Disney movie. So you need to adjust on the fly. All right, Doc Rivers, give us your starting 5 here.
I don't even know half the people you guys just named. I'm like, dude, what are they saying right now? Like, I don't speak that language. But here's what I'll say. Can we do Warner Bros? Because my whole line of art, all right. So I gotta steal some of your guys. Number 1, Mickey Mouse is just a classic. Have to go Mickey Mouse. I'm going Lola Bunny and the Granny from Lola Bunny's a hooper, by the way, and the Granny from that Space Jam movie. She was a bad apple. She could hoop, that Granny. So we're going those 2, and then I'm gonna go. I gotta go Goofy too. He kind of reminds me like Bull a little bit, just like a goofy body. I don't know. And then let's go. I know this guy's Disney. I think Buzz Lightyear. He's Disney, right?
Definitely.
Buzz is, yes. Toy Story is definitely Disney. All right.
Like a little halftime speech, like to infinity and beyond. He can say stuff like that, and that's all the Disney I got for you.
All right, that's all right. Nice work, though. That's a good one. No offense, but your team is definitely pulling up the horse's rear. So it's now a battle between myself and Sean Barnard. Man, I think Sean Barnard might be the favorite here, man. Oh, yeah. I think you might be like a 4.5 point favorite.
Love it,
man. Nice work by you. All right. Yeah, you would think like I was going to roll out top Disney films since 2000. I didn't want to
Oh, what about Lightning McQueen? Give me Lightning McQueen. Some Lightning McQueen in for Bugs Bunny.
Okay.
It's actually not a bad call there. Yeah,
It's
Lightning
Disney.
McQueen. Yeah, no, it's going. But it's too late though, so you already filled out your roster. It's like golf. You already filled it out. You signed your scorecard. Now you're done. So, but no, great stuff, boys. Hey, look, bottom line is picks and roll. We're gonna do this a lot more. We're gonna have Sean and Sam going live together, recording podcasts. We'll do the 3-man weave, of course. It's all eyes on the association from here on out. Sixers tonight taking on the Celtics, 7.5. The boys say possibly look for an outright. I just want to see Joel Embiid healthy, having fun, and Paul George's lovely lady on television. Could she make a trip to Philly? I mean,
I do not believe so. Who knows?
Play the song, Gala. Play the song. All right. For Sean Barnard, for Sam Oshtry, I'm Sean Brace. Don't go anywhere. Daily Ticket rolls on 6 o'clock. Swing it and ding it. 7 o'clock. We got a new show, boys. How about this? It is called the Bending the Edge. I keep thinking bending the knee. It's not a show about getting engaged. It's Bending the Edge. We're talking NFL draft with beef and lettuce. Ryan Coyle and Nick McClay. That's coming your way at 7 p.m. tonight. Boys, thank you very much. Always appreciate your time. Be sure you follow both Sam and Sean on socials. I will be back on Tuesday. I am gone. I'm on vacation. This is my final show for a couple days. It feels good to say that out loud. Now I got to go home and pack, clean the house, the nonsense that you have to deal with just to get ready to go on a vacation. I know I'm not alone on that one, but here we are. I look forward to talking about my first Disney experience since 1988. On Tuesday, we'll be back. We'll be out a lot to recap, and I look forward to doing it more with you guys next week on all things picks and roll. Everybody, don't touch that dial. More coming up on the other side.
Fox Sports Radio, The Gambler. Now, total traffic for Philadelphia.